So Patricia calls me Mr. AI, but this is no avatar. This is Bill Gross live, along with my good friends on our weekly podcast homebuyer seminar. My good friend and colleague,
Patricia Castillo.
and our other good friend and colleague and mortgage
Shannon
originator.
Horton.
And so, topic this week, I have a podcast I do on real estate market update. I take to task Zillow for their really lousy advice on improving credit for a home buyer. Patricia, what do you advise buyers to do to get started who are looking to buy a house and are concerned perhaps about their credit score being high enough or knowing they have some problems? What do you recommend them to do?
hmm That's a good question, Bill. And these are questions that I get every week because buyers are concerned about their mortgage payment. So they're asking, how can I get the best rate? How can I lower my mortgage payment when the homes are costing 700, 750,000? So it's so important to have good credit. But good credit doesn't mean you need to be in the 800s, right? You can still get a competitive interest rate if you are lower than that, if you're somewhere in the 700s. And it also depends on the type of loan you're getting. If you're getting an FHA loan where interest rates tend to be lower, or if you're getting a conventional loan. I've had more independent contractors lately where they're doing P&L loans, they're doing profit and loss statement loans, bank statement loans. Those interest rates tend to be a little bit higher. But getting back to your question, Bill, in terms of credit, I team up with my lender, and Shannon and I have worked on this before. So we will look at the buyer's individual credit and see what items are on their credit report that's actually bringing the credit score down. Because depending on what that is, we need to see what's on there first. Is it a foreclosure? Is it a repo? Is it just late payments on a credit card? Did they have some kind of life event that changed their FICO, right? So if people get divorced, or maybe one spouse has a loss of income, now the all the debt is carried by the other spouse, and so they may end up having that extra burden with paying all the bills, and of course things are going to fall behind. So it is very, very common that home buyers will have imperfect credit, and it's perfectly fine. We deal with that every day. So we want to encourage buyers that have imperfect credit to talk to us to see how we can help you get it as perfect as possible to get you the best rate. And so there's different things that we can do to help you get you on the path to improve your credit. So this is what I do with my clients. I talk to them to find out what was it that brought the credit score down. That's really important to know. Then we can define what we can start to improve on to get the FICO back up.
Do you run the credit or you have your lender partner do that for you?
Shannon will do that.
And
Yes.
do you charge for that? Does Shannon charge for that, to your knowledge?
No, no. I mean,
Shannon,
Hold,
you get
hold on. I'm
charged.
asking Patricia now. We're on her side. We're going to hand over to you because here's the thing. Zillow wants to say the solution is go to our website. There's some stupid little box, put your information in, and then we'll run your credit and we'll tell you what to do via some email or website or nonsense. Patricia, do you just send them to some web page or do you actually put them in touch with a personal relationship with a lender? Let's
yes.
say Shannon, for example.
Right. You need to talk to a person, not all of the clickbait things that you're going to find online because you're going to go down
Right.
a rabbit hole.
Right.
But the other good option that
Yes.
everybody has
Yes.
is annualcreditreport.com. You can
Yeah.
go on there and get a free credit report once a year. It's not going to ding your credit. You can download it onto your computer, and this way we can view it. So that's one of the options that I've given to my clients is download your own credit report. It's free. We all have access to the internet, and if you don't, then I bring my laptop and we do it together.
Wow.
And then the other option would be to introduce them to Shannon and then get started, because once we have the credit report, we still want to see what issues are going to be more
Right.
severe that we need to work on, which other ones might just need letters of explanation, writing those letters, sending them off to the credit bureaus, and getting those hopefully removed or taken care of so that the credit score can start to increase over a few months.
So Shannon, when you get these inquiries from Patricia's clients, do you just point these people to a website, or do you get person involved in assisting them down what can be a long path of credit improvement?
Yeah, no. I mean, we first, if you want us to check your credit, we do need a credit authorization form. And for anyone out there who's thinking about buying a house, anyone who's going to pull your credit, if it's a lender, make sure they require or they make you sign a credit authorization form. If not, they are liable for that inquiry pool if they don't get written authorization from you, the buyer. So that's number one. Number two, when we do take a look at the credit, yes, we look at all three bureaus. And what Patricia said, your credit doesn't need to be as high as you think. So for the FHA, the minimum is 580. However, I can tell you, if it's under 620, it's really going to be scrutinized. The guideline does say 580, but that doesn't mean the bank will accept 580. The guidelines say, hey, yes, 580 is the minimum, but that depends on the bank if they will accept that. So FHA is 580, conventional 620. And yes, if you want to do a bank statement loan, a profit and loss loan, a non-traditional loan, 700 to 720 and higher is recommended. So if you have a low FICO score, the low-hanging fruit is the high balances. That's the low-hanging fruit. If you have anything over 30 to 20% utilization on your credit limits, then you want to pay those off. That's the low-hanging fruit. Number two, any closed collections that have already been resolved but are for some reason still reporting on your credit score, we can, if you have letters saying that those are resolved, we can get those taken out right away. Late payments, we can get those resolved depending on what it is. If it's a normal credit card and if it's just a one-time thing, two-time thing, that's good. But if we see consistency, hey, you're always late, that's a hard thing to take off.
You're consistently late.
Yes. Another thing, a few things that can kill the deal, right? If you have a bankruptcy within, I would say, the last 5 to 7 years, especially Chapter 7, that kind of does kill things. Also, too, if you have another house, I actually had this happen, funny enough, yesterday. Client is trying to purchase a property, and they still have a property under their ex partner that they were married to, and the loan is still under their name. However, in the divorce decree, the property and the responsibility of the loan is under my client's partner. So not even my client, but their partner has full rights to the property and needs to pay the mortgage. However, they never refinance out of that mortgage, so that mortgage still pops up on her credit. And guess what? The partner was late. So if you have a mortgage late on your credit score, that is a dead deal. A bank is not going to take, at least within the last year, if you have a mortgage late, because obviously you're getting a new mortgage. If you're late on the mortgage that you have, even if it's not yours, quote unquote,
right?
It's on your credit score. We can't, do anything about that. I can understand it's not yours. I understand it's your ex-partners that you're no longer, and I understand you have a divorce decree, but we can't remove it. There's nothing we could do about that. And unfortunately, she can't be on the loan. She cannot be on the loan. And that's another thing, co-signing, right? Again, if you have late payments and they're not yours, well, that's why companies have co-signers. So you are responsible as well. I see that a lot. It's like, that's not even my late. That's not even my, well, you co-signed. And that's the negative thing about co-signing is if that person is irresponsible, that's going on your FICO score. Another thing on FHA, this is a big thing a lot of people don't know, and I had this happen too. If you are on the loan and if you're married to your spouse, and even if their spouse is not on the loan, their credit and their liabilities. So even if their credit is low, I had this happen too. Husband and wife, one of the partners' FICO score is extremely low. We're putting the other partner who has a high FICO on the loan. However, FHA in the state of California will factor in any debts on your partner's credit, even if they're not on the loan, right? So they had a car payment, if they have debts, if they have this, whatever they have, they're pretty much going to factor that into your debt to income ratio because we're what is it, community state. So regardless, because they're like, why do we have to include it? Well, legally, if something does happen to them, they can go after your collateral, even if they're not on the loan, anything like that. So that's another thing, is your partner, especially if you're legally married, your partner's FICO score and debts do count. Another thing too, I see child support on there as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you owe child support and that's on there, you got to get that taken care of. Student loans.
Well, let me ask you a question though. For child support, they just have to be current, right? Because if the kid is 5 years old and they're going to pay child support till they're 18, they just have to be, it's going to show up, but they just have to be current.
Yeah. And then we have to factor that payment in, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's any arrears, those have to get taken care of. But yes.
Means.
Yeah. And then also to student loans. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, well, they're deferred. I can't take 0 payments on student loans. We have to calculate on FHA 0.5%, whatever that loan is.
Let's go back for a second to child support, because that's such a common thing. My experience is people don't disclose that unless you ask them. And you usually have to kind of, pick around the outside to kind of figure out they're married before. Once you know that, you got to find some way to ask that question. Do they have kids? And if they have kids, is there child support? People will typically just ignore it. And that's not to say they won't make their payments. That's a whole nother question. Do they make the payments or not? I had many customers I found out only when we went to title, there was a lien because they weren't paying the child support. And they'll say, well, it's not really my child. I want a DNA test. Whatever the story is, it's fine, no judgment. But it's going to come up. You're not going to get away with it. And I think also the payment can come out down the road. And so that's where I think you have to be very careful. And that's the advantage of a relationship lender, is they're going to ask these questions because they know it's a problem. Whereas you go online, fill out whatever you want, and you think you fool Zillow just because you put the numbers in and leave out your child support. You're not going to fool them. They're going to figure it out at the end and decline your loan. It's going to be a nightmare versus finding out ahead of time from Shannon. And then Shannon will say, okay, well, now that we have this payment, you may not qualify, but here's things we can do to get you qualified. You can pay down this, refinance that, move this off, sell the car. There's strategies we can deal with once all the facts are on the table.
And with the child support situation, I actually said, let's get this handled. And they got an extreme big reduction. I'm talking 80% of what they owed was cleared off because they negotiated.
Right.
I said, hey, just talk to them, call them, say, hey, this is how much I can pay. See, because you owe the state, you know what I mean? So, hey, talk to them. They finally got it done. They got their court documents and they made their payment. We have to show a paper trail of the payment. But all that was handled, and they just one conversation. They were, you know what I mean? It takes one phone call to say, hey, how can I resolve this instead of letting it linger? Mm-hmm. And they were able to get more than 80% of that balance pretty much forgiven if they made one lump sum payment. We got that document stating that they're paid up. We have the paper trail of them paying it. Now we're getting that cleared off. So it's not the end of the world.
Even if it takes months, the average buyer from the entry into the marketplace to close is about 2 years. And there's this false sense of urgency sometimes. I need to find a lender who'll approve me right now. Well, maybe you need to find a plan that you can afford and get your finances organized so that you can effectively buy a property. And that's where I think the difference between just going online and clicking, it feels there's some satisfaction to it. That's why it's so important to have a personal relationship with somebody's professional who's really going to coach you on what to do, because the online system's just not going to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing that matters on your credit score, not only the number, but also credit length, credit history. If you have brand new credit, because I've seen that too, where, hey, I have a 780 FICO score, but you just, your credit's brand new for whatever reason. Maybe you just came to this country, whatever the case is. But usually they need trade lines that are at least, 2 years old. So that's another thing, is making sure you have enough credit, because there is a such thing as not having enough credit, right? You just have this one credit card that's at a 500 balance that that's all you have, and you opened it 6 months ago, right? Well, it's going to be an issue. So those are some of the things that come up. Again, those are the biggest things that come up in credit. But again, it's not the end of the world, right? Mm-hmm. I've seen credit scores in the 400s, right? Anything can be repaired. It's going to take some money, right? It's going to take paying off this, explaining this away, but it's possible, right? So, and that's another thing. And you never know. Some of these collections, that's another thing. Collections is another thing. Some of the collections the bank will allow on there. I've seen it where I've gotten DU approval with collections.
Well,
Right? It just depends on what it is, how much is it. If it's small, if it's not that big of a deal, if you have a decent enough FICO score, they could pass it. I'm not saying, hey, you can get approved just if you have any collection. That's not the case. I'm saying that, hey, I have seen some cases where, regardless, they've had some collections. Maybe they need to pay off one or two of them, and that's it, right? So again, it's just because you have a collection doesn't mean it's the end of the world.
Right. Most things can be worked on.
Look, that's the thing. And I've seen this. You know what I've seen? I don't know if you guys seen this. When a buyer is determined, especially the right buyer, there is nothing that can stop them. And especially if you're a fighter, and I know everyone can attest to this, we will fight with you. I've had clients that, hey, I need the impossible done, right? They had student loans. I had a client that had over $300,000 in student loans. 300, and I needed to make but this person was determined. They called and they got a payment for $250 a month, an income-based payment for $250 a month. They said, Shannon, here's the $250 a month. I got all the paperwork showing it. Factor this into my DT and let me know how much I can buy for. Boom.
Right.
Let's do it. Right. Child support. This is what I got to do. Hey, let me make a call. Boom. Let's do it. So again, a lot of times you create your own objections when buying a house. No matter how big the mountain is, I can assure you there is a solution. And like Bill said, it might not be a solution that's in a month or two. It might take a year. It might take however long. But if you have professionals that are guiding you, and that's what we're here for. We're not here just to collect a check in a month, right? We're here to help you create generational wealth for some people, and whatever it's gonna take.
That's right.
One of my mentors just passed last year, Greg Frost, was one of the top loan originators in the country for years in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Grew up dirt poor in South Amani, California, and then he went to University of Mexico in football, and then stayed there as a mortgage lender. Built a huge company where he was like a doctor, and he had 4 waiting rooms, and people come in all day long to get pre-approved. And his thing was he would meet with every single one of them. If you came in, you brought your pay stubs, your bank statements, whatever, he would meet with them personally. He would spend 15 minutes with them. He'd review the material. Now, he was very good at it because that's all he did all day long pretty much. He had a form called Don't Give Up form. And his rule was everybody left with a plan they qualified for or a plan they could get in 2 years. Make more money, get rid of these expenses, sell these cars. Now, he was also sometimes brutally honest with people. Hey, if you want to own a house, you need to get rid of the fancy trucks and cars. You can't do, on your income, or make a lot more money, but you can't do both. And yet, people would come back to him 2 years later, 3 years later with the Don't Give Up form because they followed the plan. And I think that's the key thing is when I see in the real estate news, it's almost like either you're born lucky into the stars, you get some government program that you win the lottery and you get in, or you're a victim as to why you can't get a house. And the reality is anybody in America can buy a house if you just work hard, make money, save money, cut expenses, and then get a plan with professionals and execute the plan. Anybody can. That's America. It still is. As difficult as it is, it's harder now than when I was young. It can be done. And the people who do that are making more money on those houses than ever before.
Yeah. And there's also, because of the cost for homes, every year homes in California will appreciate 2 to 3%.
Yep.
But there's also a strategy for everything. So, there's duplexes that are available, triplexes. You can team up with somebody else in your family that's looking to buy a home and going on it together so that you have that support for the mortgage payment. So it's definitely something that's attainable.
Okay. Well, I think we covered the credit situation. Any other topics? Any hot topics you guys want to talk about? Any hot open houses, hot listings, anything, any hot programs, anything we want to pitch before we wrap up?
Well, we have the listing in La Palma that's coming up this Friday.
Yes.
It's
not a market. Yes, we can't talk about it till Friday.
But it's coming soon. So listing
Says Patricia. I don't even know what you're talking about. I know nothing.
Single family residence coming soon.
Yeah, I think when you want to be talking to people who generate inventory, I'm a listing agent, and as is Patricia, but we work together on my listings, and so she knows about some business coming up in La Palma, apparently, that I don't know anything about. I don't know anything about it. But if you're interested in finding out what I don't know about, don't call me, call Patricia. Maybe she can help you.
That's right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. We hope that this session was informative, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.
Fantastic. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.